the last conversation was about self-agency, efficacy, and self-esteem. And basically I said something around like leadership or 3 major pillars for leadership. That's something that we must take care of first. Like we need to have self-esteem, we need to be confident in what we do, we need to trust ourselves, and we need to be able to self-regulate. And self-regulation and self-respect and self-esteem in my world, I basically make it as the most positive and most important thing in leadership. If you don't have it, it's really, really hard to go into team or talking to your friends and take them on board to your vision and actually lead people to some big vision. Obviously, we need to be confident about what we do, how we do it, and we need to trust ourselves. Do you agree? Mm-hmm. Cool. And today I was thinking I'll leave it in your worksheets, I will leave it to you too later. There is still the same topic at the end, but at the beginning of the worksheet, we will talk about our thinking, our behaviors, because that is, I think, the most important part now. When we finish in 2021, we're going to have amazing start for 2022, and we can set up. No worries. Okay. And we can start our 2022 with a real focus on self-awareness, leadership, leading ourselves, and we can improve. What is absolutely amazing, we can improve every day. And I will give you a little bit of tricks and tips how we can start to understand and know ourselves a little bit better. But before we start, because we have Cameron, it's new one, it's joining us first time, I will probably let you introduce yourself and tell us where you're coming from, your name and what you do. And after that, we will jump into this amazing topic of your day. Wafa, can you start, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Wafa and I'm from the Sustainable Community Club.
Thank you.
G'day, I'm Brett with Metis DE as a mechanical engineer.
Thanks.
Hello, my name is Derek. I'm a mechanical engineer as well, work downstairs at Metis DE.
Hi, Rob from Seriously Good Accounting, based in this office.
I'm Cameron from the WA Place.
Famous one.
I was hoping we could do that.
I think everybody's sorry news, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I'm with the on-site squad.
Justina from Metis, downstairs as well, engineer.
Thank you guys. And you all know me, I don't need to introduce myself. Basically, what I love about what I do is already starting with thinking and everything around us. I think people should learn a little bit of neuroscience, a little bit of how we think, how our brain works. And there's still not enough research around brain, but at least I can make it a little bit simple, I guess, and bring it into public a little bit simple way, in simple words that everybody will understand. I don't need to talk about all scientific things. You know, we just want to have it easy. We can take it into our normal life, everyday life. And I would like to show you how we can create our reality, how we can think, or how we can create our emotions and feelings, and how we are responsible for everything that's happening in our life. And I was bringing a little bit of different concept. Is light and shadow. It will be one thing that I will talk about. I will talk about a little bit about taking things personally and living personal life. And I will talk about basically this is our main framework, how our brain or us, how we work. Very simple way, very simplifying that. And how we can actually be in the unconscious mind and conscious mind, and how we can live conscious or unconscious our life, and how we can influence that and make it better. So this is a lot of concepts, but I will try to explain from the beginning. Are you okay? We need to start a little bit and get deeper and just talk about it. Yeah. Awesome. That means in general how everything works. We have things happening. We are here in this room. Everybody feels different, right? Everybody is experiencing different things, different feelings right now. Somebody can feel a little bit nervous. Somebody can feel open and covered to hear everything, and somebody is here like, oh, why not came again? You know, like I'm sure someone's thinking that. Because that always happens. We are all different. That means everything what is outside of us is neutral. But what is happening basically when we see something happening, we see people, we create perception. And that's created by our thoughts. That means we have thought process. We have 70,000 thoughts a day, which is crazy. And 90% of them are unconscious right now. We were very conscious when we were maybe 3 or 2 years old, but now it's almost everything unconscious. And basically, how we create these thoughts is through filters. And that can be our memories, our childhood, our experiences, our beliefs. When I believe that all workshops in the world are boring and somebody will be just talking and I just want to go after 1 hour, that I will have the same experience all the time because I'm filtering the experience and I can't see anything else. That means what is happening here, basically at the beginning when we digest the situation, circumstance, or seeing someone, it's going through filters. And beliefs we can actually recreate. That means beliefs is the big, massive filter, and that is the biggest change that can happen. If you change your beliefs, you change your life. And maybe Rafa knows because we work a little bit on values. Values is another great filter. That means if someone, for example, I meet and tells me, oh, I never can have business, that's not for me. I will never be rich. I'm fine with, $50,000 a year. Like there's a lot of people like that. And it's just because they were maybe growing up in that kind of environment, they never have people around telling them you can get more, you can have more. And they don't really know anyone successful. That is where, they will observe that. If they don't read the books, if they don't watch any maybe documentaries, they don't know that something like that can happen. That means their belief is what it is. That means they are not going to achieve it. If you start to believe or change your beliefs, then you can get everything in the world what you want, you will get it. That means because you will start to see opportunities because you change your beliefs. That means those filters here, attitudes, you can all change them. You can consciously being careful how you actually react. What is your attitude? How people perceive you. If you see someone a little bit sad, you can say, okay, that's maybe mirror, or maybe I'm not smiling. That means you can actually bring different attitude and you can have different response from people around you. And what is really important in teams or when you're working with people, it's really nice to see and observe how people react to your, sentence, or when you say hi in the morning and you see like somebody smiling, or maybe I came, angry. I mean, those things actually can change. And when we change those filters, we will start to create different feelings. And it's when our old belief is like, I'm going to work, this is something I don't like, but I need to suffer because we need to all work till 60s, and that's not an option. Then I will be probably always angry. I will be always feeling frustrated. I will be always unhappy. I will be always thinking that work is just must, and I must do it because of money. But
I'm just gonna add there because you mentioned it. To be honest, since I've done with Alex like the leadership course, because my business is very new, and we through the session, the brainstorming, the values, like there's always a way. I promise since I figured that out, now I'm not down. If something doesn't work, like if I actually booked a cooking class Saturday, I want to get people and no one's there. I was like, no, that there is always a way. And I started thinking that way and it changed my feelings because I used to feel like down and, oh my gosh, I can't do that. But this is like the first time when Alex explained, I'm like, yeah, sure. But now I can see every time, once you figure out the beliefs values, it's absolutely a mind-blowing thing.
Yeah, thank you, Papa. And that's the thing I remember when Papa started, it was all kind of like, oh, what am I going to do? I don't know. And then she called me like, I'm not sure how to do it. I was like, try to think about your value. And she started to implement a value and remind herself that she chose inspirational value or aspirational value. Always find a way. I will always find a way. When you set up these basics here, you will get what you want. I mean, for values, for example, my values were, I want to be on the beach, I want to have freedom, I want to do all this fun, but I was starting the business. That means my values towards my business were totally out. Because how I can have freedom now when I want to build the freedom, financial freedom, or if I want to be free later on. Then I can't have freedom now as a value. It's just the goal. And I was thinking, okay, what is the value? And I set up my first big values on my wall, and it's the results speak for themselves. Now, every time that I'm waking up, I know I'm going to feel good and I'm going to run. I know I feel like sweets for breakfast, but I'm like, no results. You know, I want to be feeling good. I want to have energy, and I need to actually go through the day, and I need to be healthy, because who is going to run my business right now? Because I know that no sweets for breakfast, I'm going to choose shake. And it's all actually choices you make. They're based on your filters that you choose, all your beliefs and values. And beliefs and values is massive, I guess, story we can talk about. And it is very important to understand that you can actually choose your aspirational values. You don't need to live by your family values or old values, because there are a lot of people coming from a different environment, and you don't need to stay in that environment. It's okay.
You want to
Yeah, thank you. But remember, if you want to change your life, if you want to change anything and feel different, the best start is to start changing beliefs, values, attitudes. For me, those three are most important. We can't really change memories, but what we do here with memories, because they are our filters. If we experience something bad in past, we feel like that will be repeating again. I mean, we are scared of some things. We have a little bit of fear, and that's hard. That's when the filter is going to stop us. It's limiting us. But if we are aware of that, we can change that. But if people know that is something bad that happened in past, we can say, okay, but when usually something happened, doesn't mean that will happen again. That means we can start to recreate beliefs about that memory. Basically, we kind of delete the memory with changing the belief about the memory.
In regard to filters, what do you mean by language?
Language is basically, a lot of people say something to the word and they're like,
How they speak
I'm
to
cramped,
themselves.
yeah, I did wrong something, and what did I do wrong? That's the first thing. And it's when you change the language to what did I do well, that's the first thing. Or when you change the language, okay, this didn't work right now, how can I do it better, and how I can make it work? I mean, anything, if you have negative language or self-talk, in general, it's language, because we talk to others as well. What language we use, that's how we feel. I mean, language can create feelings. When you say that, a little bit of failure that happened, like didn't make enough money this month, or you can say like, I'm crap, I didn't do it, this month was bad, I'm not good enough, I will give up. It's really strong language. That is, we try to be softening up a little bit of language, what we use towards ourselves or our results. That's the great question. Thanks. Okay. What the model is saying basically that when we recreate the filters, we can start to create different thoughts or put different energy on the thoughts, and they make us feel better. Now, when we feel better, we're doing better choices or making better choices, and that therefore action and results. I will give you a simple example. Simple example of this graph. My partner is coming late. He's not answering the phone, and I have this amazing dinner prepared, with this anniversary. And first thing will be like, I don't know, in the past, someone was cheated on me or was cheating. Now, the first thing will be, oh, he's with someone else. I started being angry. I'm creating stories through my filters. I was like, yeah, sure, I'm going to try to call. Very right. I'm starting to be angry. That means I'm coming from unconscious reactive part, because I'm basically it's based on my filters, my old filters, that I didn't realize they don't serve me anymore. That means I'm getting more and more angry. And what I will do, I will feel really frustrated. I will probably feel bad. I will probably feel jealous. I will probably have all these horrible feelings. Now, the choice I will make, I'll probably take the dinner and throw it in the rubbish bin. And I will be like, oh, that's fine. Result, he will come home late. And I will be like, there you are. And I will go to the room and probably close the door, and I will never speak to him that evening. That means the result is really shitty evening or really shitty day. Now, when we're coming from that conscious awareness of that our filters are not probably the best, our memories are not probably the best, but we believe someone actually loved us and it's late and we're still waiting for the dinner at home, but our story, our thoughts will change through the filters, because we know the person loves us, that person will definitely call us, if something, happened and phone is breaking, that means we know that is the situation that probably wasn't, I don't know, we couldn't avoid it. That means I calm myself down with, okay, person loves me. Of course, there can be situation that person maybe doesn't love me, but we know what is the realistic situation, and we really come from that ease and from the response that everything is fine. It's not end of the world. I will prepare the dinner. Okay, I will put it in the oven and I will just make it warm, and the person will come. That means my choice will be to make me dinner or send some nice message like, "How are you? You're okay?" to let me know if I can help. That means all the choices and action will result in maybe beautiful night, beautiful evening with your partner, and you will have a great conversation about maybe what happened, or why he was late, or maybe, about something else. But the major thing is that results we are achieving when we're coming from reactive or resistant part, unconscious mind, are usually not the best. But when we start to think and focus about our conscious beliefs, values, what is our attitude, how we're going to respond, we can change the result. And based on thoughts, I said 70,000 thoughts a day, we make around 20,000 choices. Now imagine that during all day, how you speak with people, would you decide to say hi, would you decide to say have a good day, or I don't know, what you drink, what you eat. Those choices, 20,000 choices a day, if they are unconscious and coming from the filters that we developed on the way, maybe from our parents, from memories, and maybe not good memories, that's pretty crap result. That means we can always change the result. And I would like to talk about that a little bit. Can you, first of all, any questions? No? Anything? Is that clear? Like, is that, because I'm trying to explain it in a very simple way. If you think about if you react or respond, or maybe about situation that happened past few weeks, did you have any situation that you realized that, oh my God, I was angry, I was frustrated? Can you think of anything? I'm sure.
Every day.
Yes, tell me. I'm sure. I have a lot.
Every day something happens. No, yeah, I think it happens on a regular basis. But taking the time to just stop and reassess the situation is always
What you would do, think about that you are with someone and you're breaking with someone. Now that person really frustrates you for a long time, like super long time. And think about that, how you position yourself straight away when you're talking to that person. You probably coming already from that maybe anger and frustration. Did you have any experience past few months that you were with a person like that, like this really frustrating? Something is frustrated, like something in the air? Do you know anyone like that in your environment?
Well, given that a third of my team are here with me, I'm choose not to say.
That's I'm also I saw some books. Or maybe someone that is not in the room.
But you're right, like when you talk to someone you're frustrated or angry about something happening in the last time you moved, some bad emotions, whatever they say, you're not listening to them, you're absolutely filtering to your own bias or your own emotions, really.
Yeah.
You're not even trying to listen, which causes even more issues, right?
Yeah, we're creating perception. Like that's the whole basically what's happening. And when you think about, okay, I will ask you a question. I would like to have a few people answer. When you think about yourself, I know this is very deep. I hope I have permission from all of you to talk about it, or everyone is okay with that? Okay. If you think about, let's say, you, one belief you have about yourself. Let's go around the table. Even one belief about yourself. Yeah, what do you believe about yourself? Even one word, if you can say one word. Whatever.
Where we go?
You really should.
So I can say whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Something good. Just say something good.
Amazing. This belief, I think most of us have it. I'm not good enough to do something, especially when something is new, or like when I go to leadership position, we're like, that suspicion is like, maybe I'm not don't know lots of things about that. So,
Cool, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I will talk about that because that's going to have a live and shadow. I will talk about that.
Confident.
You feel confident, or you believe you are. Cool. Why? That's probably serves you really well, yeah.
That's definitely not confident.
You're considerate.
You can get it, yeah. Your belief.
Yeah, I believe I can achieve things. Yeah.
Nice, that's inspiring.
I was going to say imposter.
What's that?
Imposter.
Interesting. Is that a little bit connected with not good enough or?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said one word. That's it.
Sorry. It's fine.
One word. I can't do it in one word. I last time I actually did say imposter. We talked about that in the previous workshop.
I'll mention it as well.
Yeah, no, look, I'm gonna go into positive. Like, I really believe that I'm supposed to change things. I just don't know yet how it's gonna happen.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Yeah, right.
I believe I can always do better. I'm thinking if that is positive. Is that belief serving you? Is that belief making you feel better?
Because it drives me.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Because for me, it would probably something. Yeah, it's maybe learning. Yeah, it's like a level of learning, improving. Okay.
Progressive.
Oh, cool. That's a positive one.
I believe, I think I'm ambitious.
Ambitious. Oh.
Yeah,
I need to learn more about you. Cool. Thanks.
Persistent.
Nice. Oh, it's a nice beliefs here. I think they're all really stirring to everyone. And with imposter, because we talk about it, and I just want to mention because people started to talk about it a lot. Like, I don't feel good enough, and imposter syndrome is something that they call syndrome. And I said, let's still put, some kind of stickers on that. Like, it's something that when we start business, for example, business, or when we start new role, we feel we are not good enough because we are learning. I mean, in that stage, I told to people, like, it's normal to have fear, like have fear and acknowledge it and feel it. That means anything what is coming and we feel like, I felt so many times, I was crying in my room when I started business and I was like, oh, I just can't do this ever. I've never spoken in front of people and I was shaking and red and you will never get one word from me. And I started to feel that. Like I started to feel it in our body because you can actually feel the fear in your body and you can start to release that. I mean, when you sometimes have fear or you feel that you're not good enough or something is coming and you know that strong feeling, there's a good exercise just to sit, close your eyes and start to notice where that fear or something that you feel, it's in your body. And you just acknowledge that and embrace that and release that. And basically that's when we start releasing those negative emotions. But from perspective, okay, this is very good. I like that everybody has that aspirational beliefs or trying to talk about positive beliefs because that's what we need to do. And in 2022, probably any negative feelings or beliefs are not going to serve us anyway. And I was going to talk about, are you open to talk about light and shadows, like aspects of us? I'll probably skip. That's better because this is a real conversation. I would like you to be involved, okay? Please just let's talk about that because you will have your opinions, you will have maybe some experience or maybe questions. Please just take it as a here. We are learning and we're talking about topics that are very uncomfortable for a lot of people, but we want to improve and we want to understand who we are. That is the concept light and shadow. It's a lot of books around that. I gave you some authors here. You can read about that. But basically, did you meet a person or situation that really triggered you, really triggered you, and you were surprised how you reacted?
In a negative way, triggered or?
Yeah. Everybody had a situation like you overreacted, or scream, or being angry too much, and you were, oh, why I did it.
Especially with kids, right?
I can imagine that. Basically, what is that situation? It's kind of like a shadow attack, we call it. It's like a dark side of us. We have both sides. We have dark and we have light. The major thing is when we are in unconscious part, we are all the time in shadow. And basically, shadow part of us is like, hey, why did you come later or late when you ask your kids? And they're like, oh, because, we had to learn, there was a friend, and there's like million excuses. There is never yes or no. That's the dark part of shadow us, is trying to find excuses, trying to find a way to go away from something, trying to not take responsibility. And we have the light side or light part of us that will say yes or no, honestly, pure way, no matter what, but we'll say or that thing, or that light part is very basically loving. And I always say that the loving part or light part is kind of loving release way. That means it's accepting that people are different, understanding that people make mistakes. And the other one is more like, I want to control you, where you are. Why do you when kids are like, I'm going out with friends, you're like, what time you will be back? Or who are you going with? It's just like all this agenda behind when we ask too many questions, and that's when our shadow is kind of taking over. And basically what we're going to achieve is to be in light, because light is containing all colors and also shadow. That we can control shadow part. That means that the reactive part of us, when we are in amygdala hijack and we are overreacting, that's something we want to control. And that's when we try to be on the light side of us or aspect of us. That means we need to embrace that we have the shadow part, we have the dark side. I don't know if that makes sense, Tony, guys, just jump in. But basically, I always said that there is no person without shadow or dark part. We have it. And I always teach people to really embrace it, acknowledge that is there. But try to start to control that a little bit and use it in situations like, okay, now I'm challenged, I'm scared, I need to use a little bit of shadow part of me, being a little bit stronger and bad. But you sometimes need to plug in that. You can't be all the time loving and the most amazing, because we are not sitting on the rock, meditating. I mean, what we are learning is kind of have that two contrasts, but understand that both of them exist, and use the dark one, the way that will serve us as well.
So what is the difference between shadow and unconscious and being personal?
It's basically all those, like this side and this side. It's kind of like a same concept. Unconscious and being in a reactive way, or react on in situations, or being in fear and anger is still the shadow is basically taking over and it's controlling our life. That means unconscious or being shadow is kind of same concept, but different authors, different philosophies talking about a different way. And they're adding a little bit of more different descriptions and parts that it's making them a little bit more clear, like how we are, two aspects of us. But unconscious is more, we are unconscious robots after 30s, because everything was kind of plugged into us and we're living. And most people are not conscious at all. And probably it'll be really hard to be 100% time conscious, because there's 70,000 thoughts, we don't want to know about all of them. But to live in light is more taking over of your decisions or responding, and maybe pause yourself when you responding to a situation and understand, all aspects or all perceptions. It's coming from this side as conscious or responding ease, being more calm, coming from comparison or acceptance. And I can give you an example. What is probably what I do when I'm in a situation and I feel that I don't know, I fear or I'm frustrated. I'm always thinking, okay, what am I judging? Am I judging myself or someone else? Am I judging the situation too much, or am I comparing myself? And usually answer is like, yeah, this was really bad. I was judging something. And when I'm calm or something happened and I respond, I know that I'm coming from acceptance. I can't be angry. Like I have so many people, even this morning, I had really situation, not nice, don't want to be there, didn't want to be there. But I can't influence other person's anger. I can't influence that person is super unhappy. And I was a little bit more involved. That means, again, I wasn't impersonal, I was taking it personally. That person maybe is angry with me, but she's not. She is just angry in general. And you know, when you're around those kind of people, sometimes it's like, oh my God, what did I do? You know, first thing we look at ourselves, like I did something wrong. But it's not that you did something wrong. Some people are like that. Because they are in reactive mode, they are all the time unconscious, they're all the time judging, comparing, they're angry, and you can't change people if they don't want to change. That means if you take it personally, we're making ourselves to be in anger, frustrations, and we are basically coming to their level. That is, we are in shadow because those people are bringing us to shadow. But if we know that we can't change the person, she or he doesn't want to grow, doesn't want to change, doesn't want to see it, I can't change anything, and it's impersonal. That means try to take yourself lightly. Don't take things personally because it's not personal. Because everybody's different, and we really can't change people. We can only influence people the way how we are.
But we can never, I guess, if someone is angry, they are obviously in the unconscious angry. Nobody is angry thinking, oh, I'm angry. You know what I mean? So you can never change someone's behavior.
What do you think? What do you think? Tell me more. What do you think? Situation.
Well, you just say that if you're like with someone that's angry, sometimes you can change them and sometimes you can't. Sometimes people are just angry.
Okay.
If
someone
someone change,
if someone is angry,
yeah,
that's that shit. I always say it's not your fault. Now, when you take it personally, it will be your fault. Because when we are living in conscious world, everybody has that. If we live in conscious world, we know that we are creators of our feelings. Yeah, we are creators. If that person is angry, that person has probably really good story to be angry. Now, you can't change the person that if he or she doesn't want to change. You can't change other people to tell them like, oh, you're angry, you should change, or like it doesn't work that way. Only way you can change people is that you will be different. That means you will be not reacting, but you will be responding. Like I had 3 years of, being on hormones, I was reactive. And I can see it so clearly now, but I didn't see it at that time. Now I know I was reactive. I was a terrible person, but I don't think I would love to be around myself. But I couldn't see it. That is when I started to seeing that, and I saw people around me. I was like, okay, something is not right. I started to change myself, not other people. Because when I was in shadow, I tried to change other people. Like it's your fault, be more fun. You should say that. You should do that. No, that's when we're coming from shadow. And I started to be like, okay, I need to change. And I started to change and people around me changed. Look how amazing people we are. You're all awesome, and that's what I want. That's what I would like to have in my life. And it was happening. I mean, it's you change, people around you change, or you attract different people. And if you are I guess, around people, they are really unconscious, they don't want to change, they don't want to be all the time angry. Maybe it's the time to leave, the group of people, leave some people, let them behind, or when you're around people, or when you have habits, they're not serving you. That's when we really need to be flexible. And it's you leave those things because we can't change anyone. Only people that want to change. That's kind of like a concept of dark and shadow and conscious, unconscious. How to use it? Or do you have any questions before I just kind of say how to use it? I would like to hear, is something coming up when we talk about this? Is anything coming up for you guys?
I just remember them saying that you are the combination of your 5 closest friends. That's your personality.
Yeah.
From each other, you attract the same sort of people.
Yeah, it's interesting. And again, and it's belief. That's again belief. You can take the belief if it's serving you. If you have amazing people around and you want to be seeing yourself that way and it's serving you, yes, take that belief. But 3 years ago, when I was on hormones, and I will take that as a belief, I will say, oh my God, I'm a horny person. Like all these other people around me. Because there was all this, when you are sad, usually have sad people around you. Or when you're going through struggle, usually you attract all these people going through struggle. And And that doesn't help that time. That means if you want to actually be better, it's better to find people that are different. And that's when I plug in into coaching community. And I was all the time, in every group and when listening to those people, and I was like, oh, they have totally different beliefs. Like they're so inspired, and it was totally opposite of people that I had around. I mean, yeah, take it as a belief and think about if it's serving you. I had last time, 2 days ago, I had a conversation with one lady, and it was interesting because it was around BNI. And she was like, yeah, I'm leaving the group. And I was like, okay. It's like, yeah, like, I was thinking as well, because like when you kind of see the growth that like you need to change. And she was like, I was thinking about if I'm same as, or I'm strong the way that the strongest or weakest person in our group, or when you are like basically like worst person in the group. She was like, that's not me, I have to leave. That means she basically used her belief to make decision or choice, and she left. But you know what I mean? Like it's what belief we have, that's what we use for making our decision and choices. And that's the result. I'm not saying it's bad, like that was probably a good decision for her. I think it's great. Then she believes she can move somewhere else, and she's looking for different group to plug in because she wants different people, with different visions around her. I think it's a great decision.
So does that mean we need to link our beliefs to our goals in order to go where we want? Because how do you verify, for instance, the story that she's done the right thing or the wrong thing? How would you verify if she's living in the shadow of her life?
Yes. You don't, yeah.
How do you know that?
You don't verify. It's more, yeah, okay. It's more, yes, definitely. I don't know if you remember, we talk about success principles, and the first principle is to know your outcome. If you know where you're going, you can actually change your beliefs, values based on that. Like if you're in business or in a career that you want to progress, you start to think about the values and beliefs you need to live by. That means you can change basically your beliefs and values based on results. But also, when you don't think about outcomes, not everyone in the world is thinking about outcome. But the simple things like people believe that that they don't have enough money. And that is big belief coming actually from, like, America is the big one. Like, it's not enough. Nothing is enough. It's not enough. They still live in the massive belief that it's not enough. And they can make a lot of money. They can make a few millions. That's still not enough. They can have amazing friends. Still not enough. Still need more. I mean, they live in that kind of under pressure. It's really big pressure. But when you think about money, when people here are like, oh, I don't have enough. That means there's something wrong with money mindset and relationship with money. That means if you can change that belief, for example, and say, I have enough and I'm happy. And you can start to think about it actually, and you need to believe that, of course. If you have $5 in your bank account and you'll say you have enough, but it's not enough, you can't really change belief. That means you need to start to really think about that, what is enough for you? And what is the great belief about money, for example. Money mindset is big one. A lot of people just don't have the right money mindset, and they will never make money because you need to have the real healthy relationship there. And again, it's coming with belief values. If I know that money is the form of exchange, and I know I add value no matter what, and I always will be adding value no matter how much money I will get back. It's because it's kind of like I want to give, but on the other hand, I know I will get in money. That means it's not just one side. It has to be, energy needs to be from giving and getting, both sides. But it needs to be a healthy relationship with everything. I don't know if that helps, but yeah, like in business, I will definitely connect that with the outcome you want. But in life, it can be, what do you believe about your life? Is your life comedy? Is your life, love story? Or is your life hard? Like some people say, oh, life is hard. If you believe that life is hard, you will have a really hard life. It's just belief. I have friends, he's like, oh, life is fun. And he's having fun all the time. You can see all, pictures of doing stuff. It's because some people are set up that way and they want to believe in that.
But it's interesting because, like, if you were, say, a single person, you don't have the responsibility. But when you've got like 3 kids and you have to do a lot more, life is harder than when you are just a single person.
And it is, this is the thing, like, I don't have kids, I can't judge that. I can't say my opinion, but when I was with kids, my brother's kids, I can see, because I lived with them for a few months and I was taking care of them. And for me, it's not hard. I love to be with kids and I love to be kid with kids. And I know there's a responsibility, of course, because you need to think about, feeding them, you need to think about having enough money, give them what they need. You need to think about school and all other stuff. That's
But a lot
That's
more
not
of your
hard.
time is taken up.
But it doesn't mean
But it's hard. It's fun or hard, that's the thing. How you take it, that way you will have it. If you think it's hard, it will be really hard to be taking care of
But
your
I
kids.
want to be at the beach with them all day, but the reality is you can't because you do have to cook and shop and
Okay. With your boundaries,
No,
your boundaries.
I don't know, but when
Yeah.
I was single and traveling the world, hey, I was having a great time.
I know
Because I
that-
only had me and yeah.
I think it's more from that perspective. There is a lot of people, they don't think it's hard to have kids. There is a lot of things in the world they will never say, for example, the words you said. This is only that now I'm thinking theoretically how to make it probably easier for you. There's a lot of people that will say, yes, it's really hard to have kids. There's a lot of people that said, oh, this is really the best time of my life and I love it. I have friends, basically, actually, that was my ex-boss. When I started to work for Red Bull, they moved to Sydney. Now he's working from Sydney. And they worked from Africa before Sydney. I think they were in 3 European countries. And people were like, oh, how you can do it? That's hard. Your kids come to your school all the time. From their perspective, it was fine. They could pair kids. They speak a few different languages. And they always have open conversation and they take it as it's easy. Of course, the pack stuff and go and find your schools and everything. Of course, it's the challenging time, but it's not hard because they want to do it.
I really think it's a question of changing the mindset. I
Yeah.
only have one child, I don't have three, so maybe, the time.
But you have puppy now.
It's not the same. A child and a puppy. Yeah. But I think it's just really the idea of changing your mindset. Like, yeah, I also used to travel the world and be single and live the life, but it's a different life. You just need to be content with it, I guess.
I think that what you said, it's going to believe, like it's a mindset that is belief, because there are people they travel with kids. There are people they are still free and they do what they want. There are people that are too responsible and saying, you know what, I want to protect my kids. They can't, travel that much. They need to be settled. Again, that's belief. I don't believe I have to be settled with kids. And I don't believe it's hard. I believe kids are fun. And I want to keep that belief because I really love to spend time with them. And for me, that's meditation and relaxation because it's amazing. And yeah, they can make me angry, like of course, I'm not 100% time happy and, I'm happy around kids. But I think it's just what you believe. That's why we're talking about beliefs. Because you're filtering yourself already. You're filtering basically your feelings and choices based on it's hard to have kids. It's same with puppy. I will just say that because my brother, he's like, I really want to, just buy a dog to kids. And I said, oh, they love, kids love my dog. And he's always talking about that. He was like, but it's so hard. I said, you have 2 kids. They're amazing. I don't know if to have a dog is hard, and he just believed that, but he never actually had a dog. He has such a strong belief about having dogs that is hard, that he's not actually buying a dog. He's not going to probably have dog ever. I was moving countries and I had dog in Thailand, I had dog in Bahamas, I had dog always everywhere. And people were like, that's crazy, that's street dog. I said, doesn't matter, I will train him. But that's hard, train and everything and understand that he can't be with the street dogs. But it was my belief that, yeah, I'm going to save his life, that will be good, that's good enough. Again.
I just want to go back to you because you say like instead of going to the beach, like cooking, I feel like it has something to do with expectations, and I'm not sure how you.
That's a lot.
If you expect having kids and living the same way as you were single, of course, these expectations will be challenged all the time. And it is. I have a kid and I've been through that, that level of freedom. But once you get rid of expectations, this is a mission. You've done this, you commit to it. Beach is on the weekends when you have time. The rest of the week, you're going to look after the kids because this is your priority. So this is where Because when we have expectations and they don't get met, we think it's hard, we think it's not fair, we think it's not the way we want it to go. So I'm not sure how expectations, this is
Yeah,
definitely
It doesn't worry me. But all I'm saying is that a lot of my time is taken up with driving the kids around after school and and doing stuff for them and cleaning up, and there is not a lot of time left.
We have no life. Once we have kids, that's
that's
the rule, indeed.
I'm paying someone to run my kids around. I'm not going to be a taxi driver.
That's the best conversations with your kids is in the car. They just open up.
But the best conversation will be to go for vacation with them and have them 3 hours in the car. No, I agree. That's exactly it. Everybody's different, and you can add expectations in your filters, because when you think about going to new work or new environment, and now you have these big, massive expectations, then usually you leave the place and you're like a little bit disappointed. That is the best thing what you can do there in our filters is to really don't have expectations on yourself, but I will probably say don't have high expectations from anyone, from anything, because being present is much better, like to have expectations before, because you're setting up yourself already for the being down the road, or disappointment or happiness, you're going to create probably emotions even before you experience them, because you have expectations. That means for me, for example, I had so many expectations, even when I come to the place, when move or try to open the business somewhere where I've never been before. I had so many expectations, and reality was different. But as I learned how to actually just live in the present, ask people and ask for help, and just being there. Because when you have expectations that you want something more, and you will have something more, and it doesn't happen, of course you'll be disappointed. Because I can create as well results or feelings that we don't want. Always think about all these things, those filters, that if we need to create something that will serve us, that's the best thing to recreate your beliefs or aspirational beliefs or values. Great conversation. I think that was great. It's a really good example of belief. Kids and it's hard. I think that's great. Okay. Anything else? Everybody's so done. A little bit of fun. Okay, a little bit of fun. Let's do something. Okay. Take A4 page. I'm going to mark it, guys. If you don't want to join my program or give me feedback, you can use the last page. But I will suggest to give me feedback. I'm going to bring A4 pages. This will be harder to do this exercise all the time. But okay, I will give you paper and create a group of 2, 3, and 2. And let's do this. Create 6 small balls. Try to do like same. Not good. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and create 6 balls. Okay, I can give you 6 balls. And I will make it easier. 3 of you guys together, and 3 of you there, and 3 of you there. I think that would be better. It's complicated, you 3 people. And what I would like you to do each of those balls think about that they're all same weight. Your engineers will have this in second down, I'm sure. And there's one ball that is heavy, that is more, like it's heavier than all of them. And I want 2 steps. And in 2 steps, I want to figure out which one is the heaviest one. Is that actually clear, or?
Right, like way more.
You know, that is it clear? All of them are saying that one is heavier, and in 2 steps, figure out which one is, how you will figure out which one is the heaviest one. No, I don't, you free, you start now, guys, 3 of you discuss, I want you to discuss, maybe write down if you want the process, how we make decisions, the decision about which one is the heaviest one, or how we come up to with the idea or with the solution. I mean, I want you to create 2 steps, and in 2 steps you need to know which one is the heaviest one, okay?
One is heavier than the rest of the
Yes.
one.
Yes, make it easy for
I
me.
think, but people need to do what is.
But like, yeah, you can't see that which one is heavier. You can't, it's, yeah.
So you have to interact with them in some way.
Yes, three of you guys, will just, yeah, start collaborate a little bit, and right now, how did you come up?
No, because I think they are totally
Yeah.
even. Yeah, because I didn't.
Go from the
I
base.
didn't.
I failed it.
But it's really one of those things.
In 3 steps.
I don't know. I would say that's the one that needs the more dense,
Put
probably.
them on a seesaw.
You take like
The
6 of
biggest
them.
one?
I like sprinkles.
I don't think necessarily the biggest one because
Where-
it's not
where-
like
Yeah.
forty.
Yeah.
But if it's like really crunchy like this, maybe that's the
Yeah.
one that's heavy one.
What if,
You know what
what
I
if?
I know what the heavier one is.
Yeah.
This one's heavier,
Yeah,
okay, so
Hmm.
that's
That
3
one.
steps.
The one that dropped to the floor.
Do you know what though? My
Now,
son was
Susan,
telling me
how
this
do we do that?
today.
6 balls.
It
One
doesn't
of them is
matter.
heavier
It's got
than
nothing to do with the weight in my It's got to do with their resistance.
Yeah,
So they can be completely different weights. So we-
This one is heavier, yeah. So you figure out
Oh, really?
2 moves.
But normally, like if you're like say you go in a slide and you're heavier, you go faster, right?
What about
Another
if we
But it's not got
press
anything
go on
with
the
gravity
slow motion
to
camera and just drop them all from the
So-
road?
so-
So-
so we're trying to find the heaviest and most aerodynamic one and the biggest one.
Going to-
Got to figure out 2 steps.
If
This
this
one
one,
is
What
the.
it has to be the pivot.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was really
Make
good.
2 steps.
is there equal?
So there's a combination, so we can hit the floor
Right.
at the fastest.
2
So
steps.
Gravity is the
But
same,
they-
no matter how heavy you are.
But
Mm.
if they're not equal.
You're right.
Yeah.
So you can follow
If
it.
it's back, if
Yeah.
it's back in, like up in ground at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Because
if
it's
that,
that is, hasn't
Yeah.
and they're equal,
Yeah, that means these
Okay.
2 are different.
There's 3 of
So
us,
it's
each of us pick
smaller.
up 2.
So assuming if I
means-
take those 6 ones,
And one
this
of us
one
will
is
move
much
on heavier than the
smaller
other.
because it's more like
well,
this.
it couldn't be that one.
It's gonna have less
It could be one of
resistance.
those. This doesn't.
This one moves.
So.
Yeah, in air.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Say that
2 more
the heaviest
minutes.
one.
2 more minutes, guys, pressure.
We need to measure this.
These are representations of the real balls,
Alex?
right?
Alex, is one heavier than the other 5? The other 5 are equal?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 steps. Oh. You with me?
And you can't feel it, okay, just,
You can
you
hold
can
it.
just
Yeah.
stand there.
They know everything.
Can we-
Yeah, it's exactly, you need to, you just.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because you put this here, assume they.
No. I put this thing here.
Retrieving the digital scale.
I went-
So these are not.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Well,
You'll get a great idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very
So
creative.
even then, like.
Oh, or if you do
So
like
put
three
each one on the
and
scale,
like
more than 2 steps over there.
you can do just like one step.
Which
Yeah.
one's
Because we
heavier?
know that these ones.
No, but if you do it like you're saying, way that
Yeah.
the way 2 is
Yeah. That's what I said.
And then it's
Yeah.
lower, then you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
the way that.
So it would be right, if there's more than one, I'll take it away.
Hand in power in one second. You
One is heavier.
Yeah, that's why you do another.
Yeah, no, okay, yes.
Very good.
Wait, wait.
You're right, you're on
Which
the
hand
side.
carry?
You said the second step.
Yeah.
Put one down.
Done, you're done.
Yeah.
How do you know
I don't
which
know
one?
if
They
it's
weigh the same.
I don't know if that exists.
Yeah, I have this.
That means you will know.
So one step is
yeah, this is
right.
awesome.
That involves me.
They weigh the same. That's the
Obviously, that was the
So the engineer's still arguing about this.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
done?
The thing is-
Okay, now I want probably one or two people from the group, if you, we'll take, all groups. I want to know how you come up with the result you get, but what is important, because we are talking about thinking and behavior, I want you to really start to think, how did you come up with the result? How was your behavior? How did you approach that from the thinking perspective? Was there I heard some creativity here, some crazy ideas? Some people probably were talking through each other and didn't find agreement. It was really hard, or it's very easy. Whatever you find out about collaboration, can you let's start with you guys.
The idea of the collaboration.
Anything? How did you come up towards basically all the results?
Derek came up with a solution, so I let him explain our solution, and I can collaborate with our collaboration.
Yeah.
What was
So
leading the group or leading the?
no, we were discussing.
It was,
So I had firstly I just do it on a very traditional way. I weight them and I work out that takes 3 steps. Then I improve from there, and by leaving 2 on the desk, just weighing 4 of them. Then I can figure out where the heavy one is. It's either on my hand or these 2. Right. So that's the first step. There are 2 scenarios. One is on my hand, which means this one's heavier with this one. If it's on my left hand, let's drop these 2. That's the second step. And there we go.
Cool. Okay.
If the heavy one is on the table.
Yeah, you will just take two. I got it. Yeah, awesome. That was actually new one. Didn't get that one before.
That's a new one?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. I didn't know that.
It's so funny because someone told me there's one solution and I realized there's like 5 other solutions. That means it can be a lot of things happening. And Steve, great work. Guys, how are you? How was you?
Yeah, we actually came up with the same technique, but initially we dropped you dropped them all, and then we thought the one that lands first is the heaviest one. But then actually I didn't know that, but it's not true because it has nothing to do with the weight, but with the wind.
Gravity.
So it's nothing to do with the
Surface
weight.
area.
So that the first idea didn't work. So then we found the second one, I guess.
Exactly.
And ours was to measure 3 and 3.
Yeah.
And which one was heavier? If that one was heavier, 1 and 1, are they the same? If they're not, then
Yeah.
Did you have any analytical person in your group or someone that will be like, okay, but no, we need to do this? And do you have anyone that just kind of take over, or do you notice anything in different thinking?
Not sure. You came up with most of the ideas, I think. This one, yes, okay.
And that's the thing, we're very different, right? In the group. Usually one person kind of takes over, in the beginning, or kind of leading the group. And I saw, I didn't hear you guys. That's why I'm asking. It's just more seeing how we are actually naturally in the group. I think it's important. I know we don't know each other here, but it's nice to see yourself. How did you react? Have you been first, or did you wait for someone else to try it or do it, or initiative did you take it or not? It's just a small, fun exercise. And I saw Derek was here first, so it was straight away taking balls, and I was yeah. It's nice, to see that. Probably that's something that you do in the work as well.
I think in our dynamic was whoever seemed to have a lead, let's say, first was then allowed and left to explain out the hypothesis, I guess.
You gave space to everyone.
Yeah,
that's nice.
And once it was proposed, if there was any question or whatever, then that was addressed and explained through it to the point where we had a collective agreement.
You have discussion.
That was good.
And to be honest, I didn't know the rules of the game. in, so I challenged Derek and what God explained to me, I was like, is that what we're doing? And I was like, got it. But I just didn't know that, but that's even like the way the team works, sometimes you try to solve the same problem and everyone looks at it from a different perspective, but then by speaking about it and explaining, you're like, okay. So that's
Nice show, guys, and just next time ask me.
Yeah, chat, so go.
And then it's like, okay, my fault. Okay, I'm taking it. I didn't ask anyone to say it clear. Okay, got it. Noted. And you guys?
We did the same sort of thing as these guys did, sort of had 3 on each side, and then take off the 3, then 2, 1 on the ground, just figure out which one.
Yeah. Okay.
So we tried a few different ideas. We thought about the dropping them and realised they all fall the same rates.
Yeah.
We thought about dropping them in sand and seeing which one sunk in further. And then there's another one I come up with, which was, well, there were 3 of us and 6 balls, everyone just picks a ball in each hand, and someone will have the heavier one.
Technically one operation.
Only one operation, why don't we just do that?
If
Very creative.
if they are all the same size and one of them will have a different density, so if you were to drop them all in water, they would eventually float at different levels. So it's technically
Going a
one
little bit,
solution.
yeah, I knew this would come up. There'll be something from your work.
Keep adding salt.
You have to say, yeah, you're gonna like do the salt. So, yeah.
Lots of ways.
Solution. Yeah.
I just wanted to take it as a little bit of fun and just seeing yourself. How did you react in or respond in that small team environment? I think it's always good to see things because we don't do it naturally or we don't do that during the day when we're at work. We don't do like, hey, let's do a little bit of solutions. Like we have a problem, let's solve it. Sometimes it just goes so fast in work that we just need to solve something. We don't think how we think in the process. At least hopefully we will be able to take something like that. And do you want to talk about it or do you want to ask? Or? Okay. Now, Rafa pointed that there is one thing, one sentence in your first part of your worksheet. Because all when we talk about basically here about our thinking, this is something that is going to lift up or build our awareness. And as a leader, we need to really work on our awareness. And also when I mentioned that it's like self-respect, self-control, or self-regulation, there are things that we need to know, we need to be aware how to regulate ourselves. For some people, it's the food and exercise and breathing exercise, or when they frustrated or angry, they just put themselves a little bit aside and they start to breathe or try to change their state. I mean, all those things are very important. And there's one sentence because I really liked. One guy shared it last weekend when we were on a coaching summit. And he said that basically being emotionally fit for him is actually measured by your relationship with uncertainty. And I think that's, I don't know, I think it's genius. I just found it really interesting and actually inspiring from perspective actually how to learn to be more emotionally fit. And a lot of people are addicted on certainty. And I know a lot of people, I have it in family, I have it at home. A lot of people are addicted. That is, think about that. If you have a little bit of addiction on certainty, it can be job sometimes. It can be income. It can be something at home. It can be relationships. Sometimes we just want certainty, but it's kind of lying to ourselves. So have a look if there is addiction or something that you just have in life and you're happy and you have still a little bit of uncertainty and you can actually manage and being fluid in that uncertainty, then you will be, in a situation that everything is changing and you need to respond. And it's, for me, there was something that really resonated. That's why I added it there. Because I think it's, genius to really have a look on that. Thank you so much for listening. I talked too much today, I know. It was really nice to see you work with collaborate. I know it's really hard because those topics are usually when I do it in small groups that people know each other. But as I know, it's really, really hard to get deeper, talk about beliefs, values, and memories or emotions. It's really personal. But we learn how to be personal, and we learn that we need to share with others our experience because that can help someone else to grow and maybe someone else that needs to change.
How do you, so what really stood out for me with this, and you touched on it at the end there, is that to be able to go through a process like this, you do need a healthy level of self-awareness. And that's often what could be what gets in the way of people affecting this process and changing between those two states. How do you build into someone or facilitate them to build within themselves levels of self-awareness or increasing self-awareness and self-reflection, I guess, to see yourself, what you're doing, and then being able to respond and act differently.
Okay, means you want to kind of like help someone else to change.
Yeah, like let's say, yeah, so you need to be self-aware and self-observant of what's happening to firstly identify and then make a conscious choice to act otherwise. That's the whole point of unconscious. But to get to that point, you need to be aware that it's happening in the first place, to be able to reflect upon yourself. It's kind of like an existential thing. What if someone isn't even in that place to be able to be self-aware, self-observant? How do you
Become self-aware?
Yeah,
Or
increase that, I guess.
Okay. If you want to share anything.
Sure. I can't have your answer, but I just, sort of reflecting on my own experience with, and I think probably having the tools, and I'm not talking about trying to coach someone else, but just like myself, and develop yourself to be less reactive and more think and act, is just force yourself, and what I did for myself is just force myself to have a phrase when someone came up with something that was perhaps confrontational or an idea that perhaps would trigger me, or they would say something that didn't necessarily please me right from the start. So, and it was just I'm just going to take a little bit of time to think about that, and I'll get back to you. And so it was just that pause, because I think it is really hard to to, I guess, be, when you're actually in that space, it's okay to reflect, but you're talking about being able to react or sort of act rather than react, and act appropriately in the light rather than the shadow.
Yeah. So
that's a really difficult thing to do if you're not already good at it. If that's not your personality type. So I think you have to just give yourself enough space to be able to, so what your reaction is actually just not being in that time zone and giving yourself a little bit more time to step away and then come back and address the situation later on. And gradually you'll get better at, and I think that amount of time that you will need to think about how you're going to act as opposed to react will reduce.
I will probably explain it from that perspective when we talk about the model. Thank you very much for sharing. That was exactly what we need to do. And basically why that happens, because like, for example, we have reaction because somebody triggered us. That is, if something triggers us, we used to we straight away go, I'm sure I wrote it somewhere. We straight away go to hit this. Basically going to amygdala hijack, that's when we are in fight or flight. That means we straight away go in here if something triggers us. And that's when we don't have self-awareness, because we just go there and we answer from this space. When we answer from this space, usually, I think there was Demartini, he's saying, when we are in this state, there's so much cortisol in your brain or in your body, so much that we actually become dumb. Like our answer, our reaction is reactive. It's really reactive and silly. That's when that's what we try to stop. That's what Cameron said, that we try to stop that, and we need to basically improve the cortisol levels. We don't want to have so much cortisol because it's keeping us reactive and in stress. But what we do is usually breathing. I usually tell people, if something triggers you, just take 2 deep breaths. But that's all what you need to do. Just really pause for a few seconds. And that's when you said, when you stop, you don't try to say straight away something. That means the magic, from science perspective, is that basically we have cortisol because we got triggered. We need to stop that.
So it's not just emotion, it is the chemical.
Yes, it's chemical reaction always. Yeah. That means we need to stop there, and breathing is the best thing. A lot of people have different sentences, and sometimes I ask, you need to interrupt your neural pattern. You have some kind of pathways in your brain. Now, when you used to react, you used to be triggered with the same thing, it's really hard to break down that path, it's just always happening. That means breathing is really good, because then they will break the state. Or I ask some silly questions, they totally break the pathway because we don't usually ask them. And I said, what compassion would say right now? Or when I'm scared or I have fear or frustrated, I'll be like, what courage would say? What courage would say? What courage would do now? And it brings you totally in a different space. It changes your basic cortisol level straight away because you come to the point where you're starting creative. And that's when you're coming to this side. That means it's all about tricking our brain basically and tricking our cortisol levels. And that can help. Like that helps me just to ask questions straight away. Okay, what would courage say? What would love say? What would love do? And it's really not correct question, but because of that, your brain will be like, oh, something is happening. That's not usual. And that's how you break the pattern basically and learn to come from that perspective of, I guess, being in ease and not being in reactive mode.
And you build actually.
Yes.
Physiology, you build
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
where it's so hard, as you said at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that space of breathing, whatever technique
Yeah.
you choose to use, that's how you start learning. But then once the neural path is established, it becomes automated.
Yeah.
So you don't think about it.
Think about that reaction, that neural path is done. And it's done because we are 20, 30, 40 years old. That means we were building that up for years. Now it is not going to be changed straight away in 1 month or 2 months, but it's going to be improved every time when you respond instead of react. Every time when you take a few seconds of breath or something like, any technique. Breathing is really good. In all neuroscience, they always teach, just close your eyes or stop yourself, breathe. And I think in army, they teach you the box breathing. That means people basically take themselves for 6 seconds of inhale, pause for 6 seconds, 6 seconds, exhale. Yes, and 6 seconds, I think it's again pause. That means it's kind of like you think about the box 6, 6, 6, 6, and you count down.
I think it's one of those, like sometimes a couple of breaths is not going to be enough. And it's like, I used to very quickly fire off an angry email, and it's just about building habits for yourself.
Yes.
So, a wise one said to me, just if you're going to send an email, and it's a reaction to something, just leave it in draft and wait a couple of hours, come back and see how you feel about it. And, almost always you go back and go, I might just reread that. So I think it's a similar sort of process, but it's a mental one rather than talking about an email. You just need to.
Email is a good example. I think that's a great example because we receive email and we start straight away writing back. It's like writing, but we are in that level when cortisol is high. We are angry. That means we kind of writing all email in that kind of space, the angry space. And I do that same thing. I just pause. And I come back to the email after like an hour or two. I just said, no, this is not time. I should answer those emails. And then I read my email afterwards in calm, state. I'm like, oh my God, that was really rude. And it was. Yeah. And I learned that. I also made a lot of mistakes and I sent those kind of emails. But it's not the best. Yeah. But I don't do it anymore. I pause myself and I know that I'm not in the right space. I feel that I'm a little bit angry or frustrated or something is not right. I just go for a walk and come back to the email.
Yeah. It's so hard to do because emails are a one-way conversation, right?
Yes.
So it's great therapy to be able to get all your emotion out page and that send button. There's no taking that back.
And after you're like,
or you get the one word or sentence reply, I see, I may have upset you, I'm sorry about that. And you go,
what is the worst when somebody answers like, I didn't make you angry, and you're like, okay, I didn't mean it that way, and you're like, oh no. It's like, no, I wasn't conscious, that person was more conscious than I.
Yeah. But and it's always, for me, it's an ongoing, there's no perfect answer, it's always just continuing to develop it. I had a situation recently, a little bit of a share, where one of the supervisors of my team actually did something that was a really bad example for one of his team, sub-team. So, and it was I guess it wasn't huge, but it had something I think it was unprofessional. It had something to its potential to reflect on the professionalism of the whole team and a lot of effort that was going into a particular task, right? So, so I thought, okay. So when I first found out about what had happened, I found out because they were joking about it in the office and probably thought that I was a joke too, but I did. So I didn't deal with it then because I could feel like I was angry. Like this is, you should be setting an example. You should know better than that. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just leave it. And I thought about what I was going to say to him when I had a private moment and an opportunity to discuss it. And then I thought about what his different responses might be to that. And I was ready. Right, so I've got it all planned out, all the scenarios, and how he might react and how I would react and what I would say to those different situations. So I hadn't reacted. I had been ready to respond. And it was probably about 2 hours later that I had the opportunity to pull him to one side and say, listen, that thing that you guys were talking about, actually, don't think that was a joke, and you can think about how that might be perceived if this happened or that happened or that happened. What the fun. I hadn't considered the actual reaction that I was going to get from him. So even though I had planned it all out, I went bang straight back into reaction, and I lost it. Yeah. So you can have the best laid plans, but they don't always work out. Yeah.
And that's great because, for example, set up expectations for conversation. I said always set up the outcome you want. Don't set up more expectations on people or reaction because it's really hard because you don't know what will happen. And that's again that puts you in more stress because it's like, oh, I didn't expect that. And it's even improving your cortisol and always making it higher. So, yeah.
I think what the example you gave relates well to this certainty addiction thing that's talked about here. You were trying to create certainty within the situation, within the responses, and once you had the planned out responses, you wanted the certainty, and then confronted with uncertainty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That was great implementation strategy. That's awesome.
I'll send it to you later.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.
I'm
Really,
sorry,
really.
I have to go.
I know. You're not staying for a drink, I know. Just one picture. Just one picture. And if you would like to stay, we're having a small Christmas party. It's not a party, just stay for meals and drinks, and there will be all the people coming probably around 4 p.m. You're more than welcome to stay and celebrate 2021 with us. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And I'm going to try to do this. I never did it before, but I will try. That's not okay. Coming closer. Oh my God. Not my face.
Yep.
Thank you so much.